Hello and welcome to Naomi's Bookshelf. We are doing my mid-month wrap-up for December. I am filming at work as I am struggling to find time to film at home this week. So here we are. I have read 9 books so far this month and I would like to talk about them. So here we go. I do not have a tripod. I'm using my hand. Sorry if it's shaky. So the first book that I read, or we're going to talk about, is His Christmas Cowgirl by Alissa Callen. This one I gave 3 stars to. It is a Christmas ranch romance, and it was good. It was just very like ranch hand and horses and cattle, and that's not really my favorite type of book. It follows, oh, I can't even remember their names right now. But it follows these 2 characters, as one of them is the ranch owner, and she does not appear to be very workable in the situation. She appears to be very difficult, like very feminine and very hands-off. That's what the foreman thinks. He hasn't just met her for the first time. He appears very arrogant and very condescending, and he is not. And so they both learn that they have misunderstood each other. And that's where it goes from there. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It was good. I recommend it. It was just not my exact cup of tea. The next book that I read was A Hummingbird Christmas by Callen Foley. There we go, Callen Foley. I'm putting the pictures up here. I'm not going to hold up a screen. So Callen Foley wrote this book about the small town Montana Christmas. It's about this widow who is going back to her husband's hometown with her 5-year-old daughter, and she is, I think, wrestling a little bit with like how to live life. At the same time, she's like embracing life, and she comes across her husband's, so her husband who's passed away, her husband's best friend from childhood, and chemistry happens. So it's a little interesting, a little Christmas romance. I gave it 4 stars. My only complaint was that it was a very quick timeline, and I don't really appreciate that. But then again, it's a Christmas romance. What can you do? It's a very cute Christmas romance. There's really no massive depth plot to it, and it was just an interesting one to do Christmas spirit. So yeah, there's that. The next book that I read was At Bertrams Hotel by Agatha Christie. So this one was not really a murder mystery, but I really enjoyed it. It's about a hotel that things aren't right at. Miss Marple goes to visit this hotel and things seem off with it. It doesn't seem quite accurate, and it's very confusing to Miss Marple as to what's going on at this hotel and why her friend keeps mistaking who people are. It's a little interesting, and I really enjoyed it. I listened to an audio, thought it was great. I'm giving it 4 stars, so highly recommend that Miss Marple book if you'd like a murder mystery that's not so much a murder, if that makes sense. All right, I'm gonna turn on the brightness on here. The next book that I read was this one. I have a physical copy for once. Under the Dragon's Tail by Maureen Jennings. This one is a Murdoch mystery. It's the second in the series of books that follows William Murdoch as a detective in Toronto. This one follows specifically him as he's trying to figure out the case of a woman who has died, not a natural death, but people assumed it was natural at the beginning. And she lives with 2 young boys who are her foster children, and her daughter, who is a middle-aged woman who cannot speak, so she's mute. And because she's mute, she's also illiterate, and her mother calls her dumb. But she's actually just not had a chance. Everyone else in her life basically are like the people who know her from the town, say she's very intelligent, but she just hasn't had the opportunities to show it. So this one was good. I just felt like it showed a lot of plot lines at the beginning, and I can see how this was turned into a TV show because it does very well transitioning to a TV show. But this is not the same show. It's grittier and it is a lot more in depth and a lot more sexual content at times. So, I mean, I give it 3 stars. but I definitely want to continue reading this series. It was a good one. Just not exactly what I expected, and I'm not sure if that was like, I think I'm giving it 3 stars for the massive twisting plots. That's my consensus on that. The next one I read a lot of like ebooks so far this month, was the Agatha Christie book club by C.A. Larmer. This one is set in Australia, and it is a love letter to Agatha Christie. This is about a book club of people who love Agatha Christie getting together and starting to read Agatha Christie together, but then one of the members goes missing. And it's good. I don't know how I would describe it, because it's not really, it's a mystery. I'll give you that, it's a mystery. But I do recommend it. I'm giving it 4 stars. I think it's a really great love letter to Agatha Christie. And on top of that, I kept getting worried as I went through it, because they talk about different books. But I never was spoiled for any books that I haven't read yet, or books that I have read that I didn't spoil the ending, so I knew what ending was, but they never spoiled it. So if you're wanting to read an Agatha Christie inspired work, this is a great series to check out. It doesn't spoil her books at all, but it is inspired by her and people who want to be like Miss Marple or Poirot. So I recommend this one. Then we read from this thing. I read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I read it every year. It's great. 5 stars. Love it. And I also read The Cricket on the Hearth. So last year I read it and gave it 3 stars. This year I read it and gave it 4 stars. I think I got more out of it this time. Just, I sat down and actually was thinking about it and able to get more out of it this time. So everyone knows what A Christmas Carol is about, so I'm not gonna rehash that. But The Cricket on the Hearth is about a couple of families who get together, and it's kind of building up to a wedding day, but it's all about this cricket who, whenever there's a cricket on the hearth, if it's humming, it's a happy time, and if it's silent, it's a depressing time in the household. And then also this cricket, I feel like it shows that people who are kind to the crickets have kindness done to them, and people who are cruel to the crickets have cruelty done to them. Or not cruelty done to them, but they're not kind people. So it's like a interpretation of people's human nature. So it's very short, but it definitely follows this lead up to a wedding day. And I don't want to say anything more, but I enjoy it. So we have 2 books left to talk about. And one of them is this one, It Happened at Christmas by Christen Krumm. This is a very short YA Christmas romance that's very much set about, and if it's not directly inspired by, it's very reminiscent of While You Were Sleeping. I was raised on 90s romance, like rom-coms. So this one, I read the back and I was like, this isn't While You Were Sleeping. And then I read it and I was like, this is While You Were Sleeping mixed with Cinderella to a T. And I loved it. It was great. I'm giving it 4 stars. It was just so quick, but it was also just great. It follows Murphy as she is basically a servant at this boarding school. And one day, as everyone's leaving for Christmas break, she is driving with the bus. And one of the students jumps off of the train to get a bag, and he hits his head, and no one notices but her. And so she gets an ambulance call and everything else, and people assume that she is his girlfriend. However, Trip, who is the guy who fell, is very popular and does not even care that she exists. And so his family embraces her, and he has a brother who she starts falling for. It's great. It's sweet. Highly recommend. This is a self-published book, so I think you should check it out and buy it yourself. And the last thing that I read was Dancing with Fireflies by Denise Hunter. Now this one, I'm not sure how to recommend this because I read it and really enjoyed it, and I'm giving it 4 stars. However, the start of this book and the premise of this book is about a woman who was date raped and was given a drug. And so she was date raped, and then she got pregnant through that date rape. And she never wanted to charge the man. She went home, and it's about her going home to her hometown and trying to get, like, be with her family and trying to find a suitable partner who she can, like, raise her kids with, or her kid with, without creating a deep attachment to. And I'm trying to tread lightly here because, like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a really great story. However, I have not been in that situation. I have not had a date. I've not been date raped. I've not been drugged. So I cannot speak to that experience. And I don't know if the author has either. So I would like to hear some own voices reviews on that. I was looking them up. I couldn't find any own voices reviews about that. I found some people who thought that that was a very unrealistic way to tell it, but no one said that they had own voices representation of that. And I don't need people to be out and open about, like, if they have had that experience in their life. That's something very personal. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to share that story before they're ready, or if they are ever ready. They don't need to share that story. But at the same time, I would be interested to hear if that is a reasonable interpretation of someone who's gone through that experience. So that's kind of what I'm curious of, because I don't have the experience to speak to that. However, I did think it was a really great book. I enjoyed the romance of this friend zone, fake relationship almost, but actually being in love with each other kind of thing. And it just felt really, really great. I liked how it built over many months. But like I said, this does come with a trigger warning that the book is set on this premise that someone was date raped at the beginning. It is set in the first chapter. And then also I'm not sure how that reaction and how her reaction carries through the book relates to real life. So I'm kind of hesitant to say that, and that's why I'm giving it a 4-star, not a 5-star, because I'm really unsure of how that representation is. So yeah, aside from that though, had a great reading month so far. It's been 15 days. And I have read some of those for Cloak and Dagger Mystery, some of those were for the 'Tis the Season-a-thon, and some of those have been for Very Merry Readathon. So I've been reading a bunch. I will say I've been trying to read China Rich Girlfriend by Kevin Kwan for 2 weeks, and I'm like struggling to finish this book. I don't know why. I'm gonna try to keep plugging through it though, because I am enjoying it, but I'm like, it's hard to read. I don't know why. So I don't know. Anyways, that's my current struggle right now. I've been reading it for way too long. But yeah, so that's the end of my reading update for the first half of December. Please let me know how you've been reading in December, if you've been reading some great books, if you've been enjoying your time, how December has looked like for you. I will see you next time in another video. Bye for now.